Wednesday, November the 10th, 2021. And I'm just now getting sit down to look at this thing. It's about 3 o'clock. Yeah, just after 3 p.m. I got my tea. And we're going to review my notes. I want to review my notes. I'll go ahead and start my... You know what? We'll go with the little guy. We'll start off with the little guy here. The little scope. Guys like that. Little scope, that bad. Alright, we're going to just turn that off. Alright. 21 and 14 are enabled by the signals. Enable B and enable D. Okay. I have a synopsis here. We're going to check the address buffers off of this, which means I need to find right here our address buffering off of the main CPU. So we're going to check that first and foremost. So let's go ahead and I am going to need some chip clips. This one and this one. Chippy clippy. Let's go ahead and fire up our fluke. Fire up our board, game board. Okay. Running, and it starts off working great. Always, when it's cold, it starts off working perfect, and then it quickly degrades into being flaky, which tells me that something is just getting a little bit heated up. And it don't take but 2 minutes. It'll start flaking out. Right now, it looks perfect, and it might switch right over to the next screen perfectly. Let me just grab this. Come over here. We just fired this up. See, it switched over to the blue screen just fine. Now, see, it starts flaking out. That popped up. That ain't supposed to be there. So, yeah. Yeah, see. Pretty soon it won't even go to this blue screen. So, let's pop this baby back up here. Plug this back in. I don't have to worry about battery life. Alright, we're going to move this way. I'm going to zoom in slightly. How's that? How's that? Okay, yeah. Good enough for what we're trying to accomplish here. Okay. Address buffers. There's 367s. Be right back. Okay, I gotta make sure that it's recording. My son just popped in and talked to me for a minute. Lowest bit is D. There's three 367s which buffer the address. I need, okay, this one. I do need a couple lines. This one, 1 and 15 are connected. So we're just going to go to 15. These are in and our out. Right. D. 6D pin 1 and 15 are tied together. Right? This thing ain't working. Boom, right off the bat. It's enabled. It's 1 out to 2, 2 out to 3, 3 out to 4, 4 out to 5. Oh, no. I'm hooked up wrong. There we go. Hooked up wrong. Basically just looking. You have your enable line here and then your input and output. And while it's enabled, this little low pulse, these have to match. See, it's high right here, so it's high down here just for the time that it's enabled. Any other time we don't care. Okay. This one looks good. I don't see anything looking weird at all. Okay. I'm going to continue on, and I will be back. If I find anything funny, I'll be back. Okay. I was looking at something wrong. I was thinking that this custom right here was what was leading to the sound part of the board, the sound RAMs and that, and it's not. This is for that. This is the 08. That is the sound bus. This 08 is the system bus. This is the one where the data goes through to the other side over here and talks to this stuff. The way this is all configured is these 10s, there's 2 10s for this CPU, 2 10s for this CPU. And the CPU it's a 16-bit CPU, and its address lines and its data lines are shared. So it's like it's pushing and pulling from these EPROMs. It's reading the EPROMs, and then it's pushing out to the 10s and through the 10s, and the 10s get activated, and it dumps. Either this guy dumps onto the bus or this guy dumps onto the bus through the 10. Well, this guy's trying to share that bus too. So you got 3 things trying to share this one bus. You got the main system, this CPU, and this CPU. So what I've done is I have isolated these 2 guys from the bus. I removed the 10s. And now I just did a long RAM test, and it passed. A long test did. I'm going to do another long at 4400 to 47FF. That's the other 2 2114s up here. So now the Fluke is talking uninterruptedly to those ROMs. I'm doing long tests. And so the problem is right down in these. The problem's in here with these 2 CPUs. Somehow they're influencing the bus when they're not supposed to be. That's why I have flaky communication from the main system CPU. That's not the sound CPU. It may run the sound. That is the main system CPU. It dumps over to the video board as well. It's just typical Z80, what a Z80 does. It runs the show. These guys are support CPUs that run the video. They run the video system. But the CPU is what's dumping the information over here to be run. So, yeah, I'm doing this long test now on that, that 0 to 3FF range. And it's going to be fine. And next I'm going to do these two guys right here. The Z80 also speaks to these 2 at 4800 to 4FFF and 5000 to 57FF. And one of those is the road memory. One's the, I don't know, it's in the memory map. But it's all of the video memory, all the information. The CPU is dumping this information in. Yeah, it's pretty complex. It's typical. It's just like Galaga. It's just like DigDug. You have 3 CPUs sharing the same bus. And this is the address bus coming over through this is address 1 through address 14. It's 14 address bits. And then the data bits are data 0 through data 15. It's 16 data bits coming through here. The Z80 only influences the lower 8 bits. These guys work 16 bits over to here. See, that one just passed. So I'm going to finish up with these other two tests. I'm going to just really exercise that. But yeah, when I remove these 10s, then nothing is corrupting the bus. So what's going on is this bus is getting corrupted by something. It could be some kind of a signal. It's got to be a control signal. It has to be a control signal, I would think. And there's two PALs that control these CPUs. There's a PAL right here that controls this one, and a PAL right here that controls this one, and they're the same PAL. So one of those could be bad and activating stuff when it's not supposed to be activated. I don't know. You have to look at the schematic and find out exactly what's activating these guys. Could have a 10. I don't know. I'm going to continue to play around with it, and I'll come back when I tell you when I find what I find. All right, guys. I have been messing around with this CPU board. I've been analyzing and checking out about everything on this thing, short of sound stuff, because it doesn't have anything to do with anything, I don't believe, because the sound works just fine and it doesn't interfere with anything. This is what we're doing. I've just been see, right now it's in the supposed to be in the screen where you're racing or whatever, and it's stuck here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to check out a couple more things on this board. And I went ahead and I lifted these PALs out, and the 153, the 82S153, even though I didn't think that was any kind of an issue. I went ahead and just removed them and I verified them, and that's all good. So I'm going to check a couple more decoding chips on here, these two. And then I'm going to move on to this board, the board that I didn't think had anything to do with this problem, because I have another two pole position video boards over there, and they both kind of do the same thing, not to this extent, or actually worse than this. So this actually is way better than those other two boards. But since I was seeing the same thing over there, I was figuring it wasn't this board. I'm starting to think it is this board, because I'm not finding anything wrong with this board. So, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I'll check out this kind of stuff up here, just what it is. I mean, there's a bipolar around there. I don't know what this circuitry is, so I will look and see what this stuff is anyway. Could it be affecting it? And before I move on to here, but this is a problem with pole positions, is you just have to be, number one, you need spare boards because you need customs. And I've been swapping in customs and eliminating that as problems. And so it's not a custom chip problem, at least on this board. I haven't done really anything with this board. So yeah, I've only checked a couple of chips on this board. These three guys right here are like the only four. 1, 2, 3, 4. The only chips I'd looked at on this board. So yeah. See, it's stuck on this screen. And in the background you can see the game behind this screen. It's weird. I don't know if you can see that on this camera. But off camera you can see the shapes kind of moving behind that screen. It's like this is the sky behind here, and now this is, this is the sky, the color of the sky, and this is the color of that blue screen where it's doing this. So it's showing every screen. You've got the driving screen, and then you had the blue. So yeah, it gets worse as it goes. It gets worse. So that's good. What I'm going to have to do is just let this thing cook for a while and get really faily and flunky like this, and then just start looking for my bad stuff. You know, I did also, while I had my programmer out, I dumped all of the EEPROMs, and they're all good. They all verified good. And I went and I like verified them like 5 times against the file, and they're all good. Not a problem with EEPROMs. So it is a hardware failure somewhere. So I'll find it. Eventually I will find it. It just takes time when you got to systematically go through these boards like this. It's ridiculous, but it is what it is. So that's just a little update. I'm going to continue on, and yeah, about the bottom half of this board I've got covered. So yeah. Alrighty. Well, I'll keep poking around and I'll be back. Yeah. All right. You guys know why I couldn't find anything wrong with it? Because there's nothing wrong with it. The problem is my connector. My connector. I made 2 of them. I have 2 here, and both of them are bad. This board set works just fine. It's been on for about an hour. So I put it together with that. I was like, you know what? Just for S's and G's, I'm gonna do that. Put that on there because I couldn't find anything wrong with it. So I was like, maybe it's my connector, and guess what? It's my connector. So there actually was not a logic failure on this board set. It was all connection issues. It was the edge connectors. I cleaned these up, reconditioned all of the sockets, cleaned the boards up, reconditioned both of the edge connectors, but that's it. This thing works just fine. I did replace this 7C PAL. I'll put the original back in it, I guess. Or I'll just leave that one in there. Ain't nothing I can do with it, really. But yeah, this thing works just fine. So what I want to do is I want to hook up my trackball as a steering wheel and do some testing. I got to be able to move the, that's the only thing I haven't tested on this board set, because I don't have a hookup for it. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to look into hooking up a trackball so that I can do the steering. At least go into test, and you can move the steering and test to see if it's working. So Well, yeah, this board set works fine. So what I need to do is I need to investigate those things. Why don't those work? So I'm going to do that. I'm going to ohm out each line. Make sure I have it wired right. I'm sure I have it wired right, otherwise it wouldn't do anything at all. There's got to be a funky connection in there. So I'll go through those and make sure, find out what's going on there. I'm going to actually ohm out my connections and make sure that there's no connection that has excess resistance. It shouldn't be nothing more than an ohm. Shouldn't be no more than half an ohm, really, between points. So, yeah. So I'll go ahead and put together a steering wheel tester and we'll be back. But yeah, this board set's working fine. Okay, so I have put the finishing touches on my harness. I got my steering hooked up now. And I have gas and shift. I have it set to auto brake, which is every upright cabinet. Cockpit cabinets actually had a brake. But you can see as I move this, you can see the steering move up and down. And the gas acceleration. Up and down. And our music. See over there, shift high, shift low. Done. And this thing already ran 3 hours today. So I'll just leave it on here and give it a little bit more. You know what I'm going to do? Let's set the camera up and I'm going to try to play the steering with this and trying to do this over here. It's about to be impossible to play it, but it'll be kind of fun to try. So let me set this up and I'll do that. All right. And here goes nothing. Ah! Oh, come on. One more try. I qualified. I qualified. All right. Ha! I gotta pay attention. It is not going well. Ah. Uh-oh. All right, well, that's a good play test. And this one is done. I'll just let it continue to go. This thing, like I said, this thing's already ran for 3 hours, over 3 hours, about 3.5, so I will just continue to let it go. Coolness. All right, thanks for watching, guys, and we will see you on the next Classic Arcade Repair. See ya. Peace out.